that we had on the Cave. We'll also look at Adrian College and Siena Heights football. Look ahead to their weekend matchups. We'll talk to Siena Heights coach Matt Cohn in the 8 o'clock hour. Then we'll look at some bets and do our picks specifically for the Sweet 16. That's all coming up on the show today. Again, hello. My name is Ian Wendt, Chuck Moran as well. Well, the latest mock draft for Detroit, that's according to the Free Press. Dave Burkett, he has them taking tight end wideout Kyle Pitts from Florida. He says new coach Dan Campbell is a former tight end and he loves mismatches, which he says is perfect for what Pitts is for. By the way, Burkett says by the time the Lions pick 7th, 4 quarterbacks will be off the board by pick 7. Interesting stuff there from the Free Press. Now the Tigers are less than a week away from starting their official baseball season against Cleveland April 1st. Yesterday, the Tigers and Blue Jays, they ended in a tie. Tigers catcher Haas tied the game with a 9th inning home run. Casey Mize, he went 4 innings, gave up 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 9 strikeouts. His ERA this spring is pretty hot. He's up at 8.36. Michael Fulmer, he pitched 4. He had 7 strikeouts, 1 earned run. His ERA this spring is inflated as well. That's a 7.62. With a week to go, the Tigers are 10-11 in exhibition. Couple of finals for boys district championships in Hudson. Those are set to go. It'll be Lenawee Christian and Hudson as the LCS boys took care of Manchester 86-40 and Hudson over Clinton 67-64. Other local district semis, Blissfield in overtime against Tecumseh. A finger roll at the buzzer. Wyman at 27 for the Royals. Zajac 21 for Tecumseh. The Royals advance to the finals at Airport against Jefferson. Onstead over Hillsdale 63-38. Wildcats advance to the finals Saturday against Parma Western. That will be at Jonesville. Other games, Madison continues to be on a roll. 46-30 over Erie Mason. Trojans to take on Monroe St. Mary Catholic Central at Madison. And Monroe St. Mary Catholic Central beating Sand Creek 68-52. Summerfield outing Britton Deerfield 56-46. Girls District Championships are set. They're on the line tonight. Tecumseh and Chelsea. The winner moves on to Imlay City, Lenawee Christian, and Madison. That winner moves on to Whitmore Lake. We'll have that game for you tonight on the Cave. Also tonight, Manchester against Grass Lake. Dundee versus Milan in Milan. Columbia Central girls captured a district title last night. They beat Michigan Center 56-51. College football tomorrow. Siena Heights, they even their record. They're 2-2 on the season. Their biggest test coming up, taking on powerhouse Marion, Indiana, 2 p.m. kickoff. Marion is coming off a bye, sort of, due to COVID issues with Lawrence Tech last week. Saints are coming off a 65-0 win over Madonna. Kickoff Saturday afternoon at 2 right here on 96.5 The Cave. Also college football, Adrian College hoping to ride the momentum from their opening win last Saturday against Alma to carry them to a win over Trine. Last week, Jack Werzer moved into 5th place on Adrian's all-time chart for passing attempts with 619. AC is 1-0, Trine 0-1. They dropped their game to Albion last week. They're heading into Saturday's game, 1 o'clock. You can hear that game on 103.9 WLEN and WLEN.com. Michigan's Juwan Howard does not dismiss the meaning of a Sweet 16 coaching matchup against his old friend and mentor, Leonard Hamilton of Florida State. They're both black, and this marks the only meeting between 2 African-American coaches in the regional semis this weekend. But Howard says he doesn't consider the race element or the fact they're going against each other Sunday as the most important thing that ties him to Hamilton. Hamilton and Howard became close during a season they spent together with the Washington Wizards. Howard as a player, Hamilton during his 1 year as head coach. And Villanova and Michigan, they've reached the NCAA Tournament Sweet 16 despite major late season injuries. A person with knowledge of the situation, he says the Pistons have agreed to trade guard Delon Wright to the Sacramento Kings for guard Corey Joseph and 2 second-round picks. That'll wrap things up for our sports update this time around. We will do it again at 8 o'clock. And with that, I welcome in Chuck Moran, who's been sitting there quietly this whole time. Morning, Chuck.
Good morning. Happy to be here.
Yes, we all are. I mean, it's a Friday.
It's a Friday. We got
basketball tonight.
Man,
Sweet 16 this weekend.
can't wait.
Might as well throw football in the mix, too.
I mean, why not? Of course. Only makes it more exciting.
That's right. So we kind of want to start here with the Sweet 16. Michigan making it, as we know, for the 4th consecutive season. Sort of their kind of breakdown against Florida State, and I think it's a matchup that quite a few people are picking the upset. I think if there's going to be an upset, I think people are leaning toward Florida State beating Michigan, and kind of, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that that's crazy talk? Do you think Michigan takes that as momentum and says, man, we're the underdog again in the public's eye, and they're going to go out and beat them? Like, how do you think?
I think it has to go as the only thing else they can use it as is a motivator. This hasn't been, they haven't, the 1 week that they got the recognition they deserved, they ended up then losing 2 games. So I don't know, maybe it's good that we're the underdog. Without Livers, they're definitely a different team, but at the same time, we've made it to the Sweet 16, so we know we can win, and they have the capability of winning. So it is a game I know a lot of people have circled on the calendar, a 4 versus 1. That's the best matchup you could have when you look at the Sweet 16 as a whole. There's only those. Let's see. Those are the only 2 1-4 matchup. So that's the only one that's like actually, or am I confused? I don't think there's another 1-4 matchup in this weekend's set of games. So these are the top 2 that could have made it and met at this point. Everyone else has at least one lower or upset at this point, which is just crazy how a statement how insane this week has been so far. I would say Michigan is still an underdog, but they can use that as fuel for them.
Yeah, and you mentioned the highest seed possible to meet the 1 seed at this point being Florida State, and you've said it before, I think you've said it on the air, the average ranking, the average seeding for the teams in the Sweet 16 is one of the highest it's been in recent memory.
Yeah. This year, our Sweet 16 average, all the teams seeded added up and divided by 16, and that's how we get our average is 5.8. So you're like, okay, that's a number. What's that compared to last tournament, 2019? Obviously, no 2020, but 2019 was a 3 flat, which is a huge difference. And so then I went back a little more, and then we had a 5-2 in 2018, and then a 4-0, 4-1, 4-2. Averages out that the average basically for the last 5 years for a Sweet 16 is like a 4-4. So we're well up, a seed and a half over that, and it's a testament to, it brings up the question of, was this a incredibly poor seeded tournament? Was it just, what were we looking at that came up with these seedings? We have 3 number 1s still standing, which
that's pretty good.
That is good
considering everything.
That is good when you think about how many then double-digit seeds. If you didn't want to be a 6 or a 7 this year, that was not where you wanted to be. Even the 2 seeds had, quite their hands full. Obviously, Ohio State getting knocked out right in the first round.
Iowa,
Illinois in the second round, and they were number 1. But it has been quite the tournament of upsets, to put it in terms.
So to bring this back around home to Michigan, what do you think, just looking at it in its totality? Shawnee Brown was awesome in the Sweet 16 or the round of
Second round,
32,
yep.
and he needed to be.
Right.
I mean, I thought they would win. I picked them to beat LSU, but I said it'll be closer than you want it to be.
Yeah.
And that's what it was.
Yeah, it was
and if Brown doesn't put in 21 points, you lose that game.
It was uncomfortable. Yeah, it was it was good basketball if you're just a fan of basketball, but it was a close game, and it was you was kind of worried, but yeah, Shawnee Brown stepped up, and it does give you that feeling of, okay, can he do this day in, day out? Is this a guy we can rely on? And I think he is. He's a transfer from Wake Forest. He's been a great role player all year, and maybe just hasn't had that opportunity to step in as much because they've had the other guys be there and be able to rely more on. So it will be interesting to see what team comes out against Florida State if we're trying to just rely on Dickerson. I mean, it's going to be a great big matchup in this game. That's one of the, that's probably the headline of this game is going to be the center play. So I don't know if Shawnee Brown can continue, if he can duplicate what he already did in the round of 32. I sure hope so, because the Wolverines need it.
Yeah, and I feel like history tells us we won't get that again. He's off the bench. He's the sixth or seventh guy.
It's a tough role to play.
Yeah, to give you 21 points is an anomaly for sure.
Yeah.
So I think he'll go back to his average. I'll give you my thought in a second, but what starter, Chuck, do you think will have to have a big game, kind of a breakout moment to be the star? Mike Smith wasn't great in terms of points, but he did facilitate things against LSU.
Right.
Franz Wagner was outstanding down the stretch. You have Shawnee Brown with 21. You have the all freshman kid of Hunter Dickinson. Who do you think is going to be the difference? Will it be Eli Brooks? Maybe.
I think it's tough because Eli Brooks is that senior. He's captain. He's the leader of the team. So I think he's instrumental in just keeping them focused. But actual gameplay, what he brings to the table on the floor, that is, I think it has to be Mike Smith. Being able to facilitate the ball the way he did, spreading out a defense, making them work, not just pulling up and taking the first look at the basket. I think that's going to be a huge benefit and change for this Michigan offense. It's a huge ask of them to continue to do that. Because I know once you start, if you fall in a deficit, it's hard to think, okay, we got to keep passing the ball. Every guy on that team wants to be the one to say, oh, I started the comeback. So everyone wants to pull up. They want to shoot the threes. It makes it difficult. So that's where I think they have to go with it.
So I'm going to go back a couple weeks to when Michigan was kind of struggling. You lost to State. You lost to Ohio State. And it was Hunter Dickinson not being awesome. I get it, Brooks was out for one of those, but I think the guy is Hunter Dickinson. You've had a really good regular season. Great for a freshman. He needs to step it up. That's because Michigan wants to shoot the three off of what Dickinson can do. He's a really good passer. He has to be a good shooter. He has to make Florida State commit to him, to maybe bring that extra defender, to get their bigs in foul trouble. Because if Dickinson gets in foul trouble, it's a different team. We here love Austin Davis, but he's not Hunter Dickinson. He can do some things.
No,
he can give you a great night off the bench. He can do a Shawnee Brown. But I think it has to be Dickinson. He's been the guy during the season. I think he has to be the guy now in the Sweet 16.
Yeah. Take a look at these team stats for FSU Michigan. Very similar all across the board. Florida State has a higher block per game, and they steal the ball more often. Now, that could be a testament to ACC basketball, just having maybe a little bit sloppier, younger teams. but Florida State is a defensive team that likes to be aggressive to the ball handler. So good ball control and good ball awareness is going to be huge. So I think Hunter's going to have his hands full. They all are. I mean, this is what you play this game for in college basketball, to get to the Sweet 16, the Elite Eight, the Final Four. These are the moments. So let's step up. You gotta live in the pressure and own the pressure. So it's exciting. Hunter Dickinson, I do agree that is a good pick. I think Mike Smith having the assist, moving the ball, it's going to be huge as well. I mean, it takes 5 guys at least. It takes a full team to win this game. So it'll be a good one, that's for sure.
Now, if, let's say, the upset people that pick Michigan to lose are correct, and Michigan is out at the Sweet 16, do you consider the season a success, getting to the Sweet 16, or no?
I think it is a success.
Is not?
I think it is.
Is? Okay.
Yeah. I think you can't look at too much on, okay, well, we didn't win the Big Ten title, we were Big Ten regular season champs. Okay. And it was a tough season to be regular season champs. But also, you got to remember what the expectations were. I think State still didn't have a good season. I don't mean to this bash Michigan State, but when they came into the season they were top 10, weren't they, as a preseason favorite? And
yes,
Michigan wasn't even in the top 25. You have to get to the Sweet 16. That means you're one of the top 16 teams in the nation this year. And it could be Illinois had a rough game. Okay, but they still didn't make it to this point, so you can't say that they're better than Michigan.
Well, then you say Illinois' season is a failure.
Yeah.
Because it does, and I talked about it a couple weeks ago. It doesn't. Part of it doesn't matter what you do in the season.
Right.
For the season, it's to get your seeding, to get into the tournament. You don't care what Michigan State's record was when they lost to Middle Tennessee State.
No.
They probably had a great season.
They were number 2 seed.
They probably won the Big Ten or something like that.
They were the number 2 seed.
But the thing you remember is them losing to Middle Tennessee State.
Yep.
That's it. This is why you build your legacy in March. And I think, okay, it's nice to get to the Sweet 16. This Michigan team, I've been told, and they have been playing sometimes, they're special.
Yeah.
And this is a big game. It's a tough one. I did not pick them to win. I will tell you that. I picked Florida State. But I think it's a failure if you lose. I know, I get your points that they started off so low.
Right.
But by week 3 or 4, we're
the expectations,
this is the best team in the country.
Right.
They're up there with Baylor, Gonzaga. They were rolling people. So
that is fair. No, I agree. That is a different way to look at it. It could be a failure. It's definitely not anyone how they want the season to end. So
no,
it'll be a test for Juwan and all those Wolverines.
All right. All that being said, Michigan and Florida State tipping off in the Sweet 16 on CBS. That'll be Sunday at 5 p.m. So be sure to tune in for that. We'll get our predictions later in the show for all of our Sweet 16 games. So coming up after the commercial break, we will get into some Lions football. Do you think they're actually better off than you think? Or do you think they're worse off? A lot of changes in Detroit. We'll give our thoughts right after these messages. You're listening to Inside the Cave. That's Chuck Moran. I'm Ian Wendt. We'll be right back. Welcome back inside the cave. Ian Wentz, Chuck Moran with you on a Friday morning. Happy to have you along with us for the ride. Coming up later in the show, we're going to talk college football, get some bets and picks in for this weekend. We're going to recap high school basketball. It was a great day yesterday. A couple of boys teams advancing to their district final. And we're going to look ahead to the games going on today. But first, we're going to go to the NFL in just a minute. I do want to tell people, we were talking about the tournament before the break. Maybe you signed up for our Cave Tournament Challenge over on 96.5 The Cave. That's 965 The Cave. No point in there, just 965 The Cave. Maybe you signed up. Maybe you're like me and you picked Illinois to win. And you want a second chance. Or maybe you picked Ohio State to go to the final, and they both let you down. Maybe you had Iowa in the Sweet 16. We're going to give you a chance to redeem yourself. You can, reset. Pick the Sweet 16 through the finals. You can still win some prizes. So just go to 965thecave.com. Go to contest. It's the only contest in there. College basketball tournament bracket. You can fill it out from the Sweet 16 or hold on tight and just stick with your bracket all the way through to the finals. But I just want to throw that option out there. Go to 965thecave.com. Under contest, just get yourself signed up. It's pretty simple. All you need is an email and a password to get in to your bracket account, and then you're signed up to win cool prizes. So check it out, 965thecave.com. We pivot to the Lions. This was a team that fired their coach and general manager last year, giving us all a very surprising Thanksgiving present to fire Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn. So now it's the Dan Campbell and the kneecap biters, the Detroit Lions. No Matthew Stafford. They trade him for 2 firsts, a third, and Jared Goff. Kenny Galladay walks away unsigned, goes to the Giants for a bunch of money. Sitting there at 7 in the draft. I mean, as we are right now, do you think the Lions are actually better off than we think, or do you think they're worse off than we think? Now, we should probably define the
right. What are
define
we
what is worse
as better?
Right. What's better? What's worse? So this team was 4th in the North. No surprise. 5-11 last year. So we will put the measuring stick at 5.
Okay.
Do you think this team is actually better or worse than last year? Or better than we think?
I think they're better than we think, and it's actually the act that, it's not really a player specific on personnel wise or coaching wise. I think it's the move that Jared Goff made, I think just earlier this week, announcing, worked out with his contract with the team to kind of, really take a pay cut to free up some cap space for the Lions. I think that move, it's not anything Matthew Stafford wouldn't have done, but it's also for a guy who's just being brought in, who hasn't even taken a snap, hasn't even donned, the Honolulu blue. He's embodying what you would hope a franchise quarterback to do. I mean, it's a page right out of Tom Brady's book to take a pay cut so you can get better players on that team. I mean, he's making fine money. He's not going to worry about it all. So, if he can help the team in another way other than just throwing touchdowns and running an offense, he's going to. And so from that aspect, maybe I'm just putting too much weight on something that means very little, but I think that shows kind of the culture of this team, and it might be a little bit different than what we're expecting.
I agree with the first part. I think they're sneakily better than what we think. Right now, in terms of talent, Jared Goff is a downgrade. But what did he do in LA?
Got him to a Super Bowl.
He won.
Yeah.
He won a playoff game in Seattle last year.
Yep, they
They
did.
gave Green Bay a run for their money. Now, are the Rams a better team than the Lions? Absolutely. But we see good teams with bad quarterbacks, and they don't win. That's why the quarterback gets paid the most. It's
Yeah.
the most important position. So I think they're better in that regard. I think their offensive line is better than a lot of people are thinking it is. And look, the defense, I don't see how they could be worse. Whatever they do is either going to be equally as bad or a little better. This was a terrible defense. They're making a lot of changes, and I think they draft heavy defense in this upcoming NFL draft. But yeah, I think they're now. Are they a playoff contender? No. But are they
Probably
better
not.
than 5 wins?
Yeah, I would think.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think an upgrade over Matt Patricia is someone that's not Matt Patricia. Like, you know,
I mean,
again, it can't really get much worse than Quinn Trisha.
right. No,
It
yeah, it was bad. It was bad the whole time. The writing was on the wall, so it was coming. You know, you give them a little slack on that when they first take over, but you know, also you gotta have your expectations up there when in the NFL. I mean, when you're at the professional level, your goal and your mindset as a fan is your team's gonna win, and obviously you lose, like that's part of the game. You know, you a winner and a loser, but when you've lost so much for so long, it's really old. I think it's a mixed feel of what this team is. You don't want to put your expectations too high because you know that's when your feelings get hurt. But you also can't just say, oh, we're gonna go 0-16. I mean, that would be the absolute failure to see that happen. So it won't, but it'll be interesting to see what this team can do.
I mean, there have been free agency moves that we see, and they make sense. You know, they're not spending crazy money. They're not reaching for a guy. They're saying, look, we know who we are. We're going to rebuild. We're going to compete. And we're going to get guys that want to compete. They recently signed Alex Anzalone, a free agent from the New Orleans Saints. So he knows how to bite some kneecaps.
Yeah.
Tim Boyle, he's going to be a backup. Randy Bullock, you know, he's a capable kicker.
Yeah.
Michael Brockers, acquired via trade. That's a big time locker room pickup.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got talent. He really does. Integral part of that scheme. Now, if you're playing next to Aaron Donald, you're going to get some numbers.
Yeah.
But he's a guy that can be a culture guy.
Right.
Like they try to do with the Patriots
Yep.
players.
I
They'll
know.
bring him in. They're a culture guy. They'll bring the Patriot way.
Right. Exactly. The Patriot way didn't work.
It did not work. Now, did they not give him enough time? That's a debate
That's it.
until the cows come home.
Right. I mean, I think it was pretty apparent, and I think everything else you heard of, even not looking at the record Patricia brought to the table, the stuff you hear about the locker room and the kind of the culture that was developing, it wasn't something that was to be proud of. It wasn't anything bad, but it also just wasn't a go get 'em type attitude. It wasn't a we're gonna bite their kneecaps off. It just wasn't. So,
No.
And a football, it's you want to play with class. But you also want to. I mean, your goal is to beat the other guy. And if you to say it politely, okay, well, we just want to win. Okay, that's a polite way of saying it, media friendly. But go bite their kneecaps off. That's what you want. That's what I mean as a fan. That's what you root for. But you don't expect your coach to say it. Well, here we go. We got a coach that's saying it. So
Well,
let's
you
see
say it in the locker room
Yeah.
when there's no cameras
Right.
around. But he's like, "Welcome to Detroit. Watch out for your kneecaps."
Yeah, that's going to be on our welcome sign. It's going to be playing over the loudspeaker when you come out as a visiting team. I don't know, maybe that would pump them up too much, but it will be an interesting. I think it's a completely different culture that we have in Ford Field this year.
Yes, and you look at free agency additions again of Jamal Williams, Tyrell Williams, a running back and a receiver that are very capable. They're not amazing, but they're capable.
Yeah.
You look at some re-signings. Romeo Okwara, big signing. Jalen Reeves-Maben, he's capable. He's not an all-pro or an all-star or anything. Mike Ford, a corner that is, second or third string corner. He might play some slot, might play some safety if he has to. And they re-signed Don Muhlbach, the long-time long snapper. So happy to have him back. It's a position you don't know that you need until he sucks at it, and you're like, we need it.
Yeah.
And he deserves some love.
It's a vital position.
Yes.
Looking at the mock draft, we've been talking about this draft for a while, ever since, you and I have been kind of going back and forth on Thursdays. Here we are on a Friday looking at Mel Kiper's his third round, his third type of mock draft. It's still the first round, but it's his third go-around, let it be, for the draft. Top 4 spots, all quarterbacks. I feel like I was saying that last month. They had all these other guys up there, but right now it's Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields at 3, Trey Lance at 4. Okay, so that's kind of how we expected. Go down 7 pick, Devontae Smith, wide receiver from Alabama. That's who you've been going with this whole time. That's who you'd love to see the Lions get. So maybe I don't know. I haven't checked how close Mel usually gets with these when we get to draft day, but if we're going to go with one, I'm fine with this one being the set one. If we just want to lock this in and we just submit this as the first round,
yes,
I wouldn't complain.
No, and I think that factors into the overarching question of, are they better off or worse off than we think? If they make that pick and then go all defense, kind of like the Panthers did last year,
right?
Great. I like that.
Yeah,
the offense is closer than we think.
I think with the pieces we've picked up, even though we've lost our 2 Jones and Galladay, that's not the end of the world. Especially picking up, if we can get a Heisman Trophy winner wide receiver. He's a different level. He's a different type of athlete. Mm-hmm. So it would be. I think that would be the best pickup. And after that, like you said, Jared Goff found a way to win in L.A. Why can't we do that here in Detroit? It's the defense. That's what's stopping us. That's what's preventing us from winning. So let's just focus on that. We get one wide receiver, and then the rest of it focus on defense.
Yep, and you have that extra 3rd round pick from the Rams this year. So if you want to move up in the 2nd round, or maybe go back into the 1st round, you have that ability. You attach a pick with that 3rd rounder and move up. So you can knock an Alabama quarterback in the pros as much as you want, because it's kind of funny sometimes. But
it's the only thing we can.
Yeah, but the receivers are where it's at with Alabama.
Mac Jones did look good in his pro day, in Alabama's pro day.
I'm a Mac Jones fan.
Mel hasn't projected to go 15th to New England. So ride back up behind Cam.
I hope you heard my exhale there.
Yeah, I did.
That would frustrate me a little bit. Because, I'm a Mac Jones guy. I said, I think we were on the show together, if the Lions pick quarterback, where are they going? And I said Mac Jones, partly because the other guys would be gone by 7.
Right.
Plus, I think he's not as bad, or won't be as bad as people think. But who knows? The draft, April 29th for this year, starting at 8 p.m. on a Thursday night. Do you think the Lions are actually better off or worse off? Something to ponder.
Yeah.
On this Friday morning. When we come back, high school basketball recap. We're going to look ahead to some district finals tonight for the girls here in Lenawee County. You're listening to Inside the Cave. Yours truly, Ian Wendt and Chuck Moran on 96.5 The Cave and 965thecave.com. Welcome back inside the cave. 7:46 on this Friday morning. Rain is here for now, but it should be moving out to make us able to enjoy a nice Friday. Hello everyone, Ian Wendt, Chuck Moran with you till 9 o'clock. Big time football hour coming up next at around 8:10. We'll start talking football. We'll get some bets and predictions for the Sweet 16. But for now, what a night of high school basketball yesterday. The boys in action. It was Lenawee Christian in game one over Manchester, 86-40. And game two last night on the Cave, John Kane was in Hudson for the Tigers and the Clinton Redskins. And that game was a classic, 67-64, the final score. So those two will play each other, Hudson and Lenawee Christian, for a chance at a district title, not today, but tomorrow. So kind of your initial thought on that?
I mean, right off the paper, what a game Hudson and Clinton had. That was this shootout right there. Lenawee Christian really hitting their stride late in the season, really finding that, it was a tough start to the season in this condensed COVID year, but an 86-40 win, that's a statement win, and got a good momentum swing going into this championship game. So looks to be on paper, obviously the best two teams make it that far, and should be an exciting one for them.
Yeah, and I don't know what's been going on up in Manchester, but from what I've been told, they used to be a power athletically.
Yeah.
Football, basketball, but they're kind of down. But I think you make good points with Lenawee Christian. They hit some bumps. Make no mistake about it. This is not, or has not been, a great team.
No.
They were like 3-11 going into that game with Manchester. So
yeah,
you would think, based on record, the game would be close.
Yeah.
That Lenawee Christian and Manchester would play a tight one. That was not the case.
It was not.
So
No.
they're a hot team. Hudson.
That was an upset, actually.
Was.
Clinton was the. We had Coach Chavez on Sunday's show up in Manchester, and he was talking about not wanting to wait until Thursday to play, so they threw in a game on Saturday evening to get another game in, and just to try and stay as fresh as possible. And it's 67-64. Basically, there's probably a few key moments in that game that, if they had gone the other way, had a different outcome, this game probably could have gone to Clinton. So it wasn't that it was just one bad team, one not so good team. It was two good teams going at it, and Hudson ended up coming out with the victory.
The Tigers with 2 straight wins over Addison, which has had a down year, and Clinton, which, like you said, on paper, in terms of record, that's an upset.
Yeah.
To get to the final, Lenawee Christian there as well. Game will be played tomorrow night. That'll be in Hudson. So the Tigers are now 7-13. Lenawee Christian 4-11. Obviously you throw the record out and you look at who's playing the best ball right now. Do you give the edge to Hudson only because they've played 2 games compared to Lenawee Christian's 1 in the district?
Probably. I think having that consistency of play, basketball, I've said it a couple times, it's a game of runs, and when you're on a hot streak of winning, you're hard to beat. You really are. And building that confidence each game, where you might get overconfident, and that's when you get knocked off. But when you've had a rough year, not as many wins as you have losses, I don't think you can get overconfident in just 2 wins. I hope you can. So Hudson, and I would say beating Clinton is a more of a statement win than Lenawee Christian's Manchester win.
Mm-hmm.
So I think maybe Hudson will have the slight advantage because you can't just say, oh well, one team scored more points, so they must be the favorite. No, that's not really how it always works. And the defense schemes, how the offensive run, they're completely different. So Hudson's 67 win over Clinton would probably be putting them as the favorite for this championship game.
And I mean, when we say favorite, we mean slight favorite.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a county matchup.
Yeah, anything
They
could happen.
know each other. It's a district final. Hudson's on their home floor.
Right.
I mean,
I
atmosphere is going to be great.
Yeah.
It
I
really
mean,
is.
this is when I'm sure all these coaches, I'm sure all of them, they've wanted fans all year. No one's ever sitting there on the sideline saying, "Man, I wish it was empty." Like everyone wants fans, but this is definitely the time of the year when you're like, "Man, if only we get a full gym," because this would easily be packed. I mean, this is two local schools going at it, and you know it's gotten to they're bouncing back from rough seasons to now be able to, one's going to walk away as district champions. So, you know, it's something to hang your hat on.
One of the other boys matchups, Madison and Monroe St. Mary Catholic Central. This was a pretty packed district, so both these teams played 2 games to get to this point. Madison hits a buzzer beater Tuesday against Ottawa Lake Whiteford, and then they take care of Erie Mason yesterday, 46-30 to get to the final. Monroe St. Mary Catholic Central hung on by a thread to beat Morenci 59-58. Then they beat Sand Creek, a team that's much improved over last year, 68-52. So Madison and Monroe St. Mary Catholic Central in that finals matchup. I might be a little biased here, but I think Madison has all the momentum. They're playing at home.
Right.
They're hosting the district, so I'm going to give the slight edge to the Trojans.
Yeah, I think home court advantage is still a thing, even with the less attendance. But, you know, it's interesting that both teams had a tough first round, and second round they ended up beating their opponent by 16 each. One 46-30, the other 68-52. So, you know, just looking at how these teams are you know, kind of having similar paths to get to this point, I think it's going to be a great game. You know, 2 games each coming in. You know, like you said, records at this point of the year do not really mean much because it's all about one win and staying alive. So I think Madison does have a serious shot at taking down Catholic Central and hopefully, you know, winning that district.
And the final boys district for Lenawee County team, Onstead. Or no, we have Blissfield too.
Yep.
Onstead beating Hillsdale. They will play Parma Western for district final on the 27th, so Saturday. Parma Western 6-8 coming in. Onstead 14-3. Do you think the Wildcats keep it going?
I think so. They're on a really hot streak right now and playing really great basketball. So I would think so.
And for the Blissfield Royals, I'm trying to find the matchup. There it is. They beat Tecumseh in just an awesome game.
Yeah.
An overtime winner with the clock running out. Gannon Gannon finger roll with moments left. They beat Tecumseh 55-53. They'll play Monroe Jefferson, who's beaten Milan and Carleton Airport to get to this point. Blissfield 12-2. Monroe Jefferson 7-7.
It's going to be a good one. You know, overtime wins can build confidence, but they also can wear you out. So that was a tough game that Blissfield had to play against Tecumseh, and hopefully when you come away as that winner, you're like, okay, we can do that. Let's we don't want to be in that position again. Let's, you know, try and battle even, you know, tougher next time. Monroe Jefferson obviously 7-7, so it's, you know, no team wants to make their goal record of the year 500. So it hasn't been the season they've been hoping for, but a chance here now to kind of turn it around and you know, put this nail in the coffin as district champion. So we'll see what happens. I think Blissfield should have the edge, though. Neither of these teams, it's not their home court, so you know they're playing at Carleton Airport.
Mm-hmm.
You know it's going to be whoever is the best team on Saturday evening. So should be a good one.
I think Blissfield has aspirations that are beyond a district championship,
Absolutely.
but you know I think they'll stay focused and they will get the job done. We'll look at the girls' finals for districts coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. We get to a sports update first, and then look at those games, and we'll get to some football. That's right, spring football. Ian Wendt, Chuck Moran, 96.5 The Cave. Hour number 2 inside the cave. Thanks so much, Coach. All right, let's do it. I'm Ian Wendt. That's Chuck Moran. We're here till 9 o'clock today on a Friday morning. What a long week, but I had moments of really good in the week. But
Yeah.
happy to finish it up. I'll be honest.
It has been a
long
one.
work week.
Absolutely.
But we're happy you're finishing it up with us here inside the cave. Let's get to the way we start every hour.
All right, let's get things started. The latest mock draft for the Lions, according to Free Press Dave Brickett, has them taking a tight end wideout, Kyle Pitts from Florida. He says new coach Dan Campbell is a former tight end and loves mismatches, which he says is what Pitts is perfect fit for. By the way, Brickett says by the time the Lions pick 7th, 4 QBs will be off the board. So at least he agrees with something off of ESPN's current mock draft. Tigers are less than a week away from starting their official baseball season against the Indians April 1st. Yesterday, the Tigers and Blue Jays ended in a 3-all tie. Tigers catcher Hayes tied the game with a 9th-inning home run. Casey Mize went 4 innings and gave up 5 hits, 2 earned runs, and had 9 strikeouts, but his overall ERA this spring is 8.36, not a pretty number. Michael Fulmer also pitched 4 and had 7 strikeouts with 1 earned run, and Fulmer's ERA this spring is a 7.62. With a week to go, Tigers' exhibition record is 10 wins and 11 losses. It was the boys high school basketball district's semifinals last night. Lenawee Christian getting an 86-40 win over Manchester. Hudson coming away with the win over Clinton 67-64. In some other district matchups last night, Blissfield winning over Tecumseh 55-53. Wyman had 27 for the Royals and Zajac 21 for Tecumseh. Royals move on to face Monroe Jefferson at Carleton Airport on Saturday. Onstead beat Hillsdale 63-38. The Wildcats advanced to the final Saturday versus Parma Western at Jonesville. And Madison took on Erie Mason, coming away as the victor 46-30. Trojans advanced to take on Monroe St. Mary's Catholic Central, and that game is at Madison. Speaking of Monroe St. Mary Catholic Central, they defeated Sand Creek in a 68-52 battle. Summerfield over BD, Britton Deerfield 56-46. In some girls district basketball tonight we're going to have the championship games. Tecumseh versus Chelsea. The winner moves on to Imlay City. Lenawee Christian versus Madison, and that winner moves on to Whitmore Lake. Also tonight, Manchester takes on Grass Lake. Dundee will be taking on Milan at Milan. Columbia Central girls captured a district crown last night with a win over Michigan Center 56-51. College football is here tomorrow. The Saints 2-2 on the season with the biggest test of the season, taking on a powerhouse Marion, Indiana in a 2 p.m. kickoff. Saints coach Matt Cohn says the Saints have always played them tough, and winning has been a few and far between. Marion is coming off a bye, sort of, because of COVID-19 issues. The Lawrence Tech team last week. Saints coming in off a 65-0 win over first-year program Madonna. That kickoff again is scheduled for 2 p.m. and you can hear it here on 96.5 The Cave. Also in some college football, Adrian College hopes to ride the momentum from their opening win last Saturday over Alma to carry this into a win over Trine Saturday. Coach Jim Deere is counting on the running of Stephen Moses and experience of quarterback Jack Werzer to lead the way over the Thunder. Last week, Werzer moved into 5th place on Adrian's all-time chart for passing attempts with 619. AC is 1-0 and Trine is 0-1 heading into Saturday's game at 1 p.m. And you can hear that game on 103.9 WLEN and WLEN.com. Well, Sweet 16 is around the corner, and Michigan's Juwan Howard does not dismiss the meaning of a Sweet 16 coaching matchup against his old friend and mentor, Leonard Hamilton of Florida State. They're both black, and this marks the only meeting between 2 African-American coaches in the regional semifinals this weekend. But Howard says he doesn't consider the race element or the fact that they're going against each other Sunday as the most important thing that ties him to Hamilton. Hamilton and Howard became close during the season they spent together with the Washington Wizards. Howard as a player and Hamilton during his 1 year there as a coach. Villanova and Michigan have each reached the NCAA's tournament Sweet 16 despite having some major late-season injuries. A person with knowledge of the deal says the Detroit Pistons have agreed to trade guard Delon Wright and the Sacramento Kings for guard Corey Joseph and 2 second-round draft picks. That'll do it for this sports update. We do those every top of the hour, Monday through Friday and on our Sunday show. You can hear those here on 96.5 The Cave and 96.5thecave.com.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Have you heard that one yet? That's
No,
a new,
that's new
it's
to
a new
me.
addition to the
I
show.
like it.
So when we say good things, I play that. When we say bad things or dumb things, we play this. I'm sure you've
Man,
heard
that is a
before.
classic. Wow.
It really is.
Man, makes me feel dumb. So that's what.
No, but we want to, yeah. That's what we'll get upbeat. Crowd thinks so too. So these girls and their basketball games are coming up tonight. We have a great one on tap for you on The Cave. John Kane is going to be in Sand Creek for the Lenawee Christian Madison matchup.
John Kane has been all over the county.
Yeah,
all week.
That's why he has not been on the show once this week.
I mean, well, he's staying in different hotels. He got to he's
All the lodging,
the lodging, the bus fares,
the
it's
travel,
just, yeah,
fatigue, jet lag.
exactly. The
Yeah.
time changes.
Yeah, the time changes.
No,
For
but
sure.
he's been a busy guy. He's calling a lot of great games, and yeah, tonight another one here on 96.5 The Cave.
And Lenawee Christian, they had a pretty easy time with Morenci, and that game was on The Cave. I was there, I called it, and Morenci was in a tough spot to start with the draw they got with getting Lenawee Christian, but then they threw in 3 players were in quarantine, 1 player had a concussion, and both of their coaches were in quarantine as well. So they were playing with some, of course, Bree Salenbine, the Gonzaga commit and nominee for a McDonald All-American. She got her 2,000th career point in the first quarter of that win. They stopped the game and they gave the recognition that she deserved. Only the second girl in Lenawee County to ever do that.
Wow,
Get 2,000 points.
that's a huge milestone. So, big congratulations to her. I can't even imagine 2,000 points in 4 years. And this year was a condensed season,
Right. Yeah, imagine if we had a full
Yeah,
campaign.
that would have happened way earlier, type
Yeah.
of feeling. So, but glad she got that opportunity to make history. And I know I heard her say she was a little confused when the game stopped,
Yeah.
and then she realized what had happened. But she was very humble with it, and which you love to see, and focused on just the game at hand. It wasn't ever a thought of, I gotta get X amount of points to get this milestone, which is that's how you hope all these athletes approach it. It's just focus on the game at hand and wanting to win each game.
And she needed 6 points, and she got 20 in the first half. So she was not just trying to get that number and then go to the bench. She was
Yeah.
going to play it as often as Coach Salenbine wanted her to play in the contest. But the second game, we knew it going in that Madison Sand Creek would be awesome. 2 rivals, same conference. They split in the season. They each won on each other's floor. So Madison was the visiting team. The game was in Sand Creek, and this thing was wire to wire. Madison they were in the lead for the majority of the game, but it wasn't like a 8 to 10 point lead. It was within 3, 4, 5 points the whole game. Couldn't put Sand Creek away, couldn't put them away. Toward the end of the game, it was 31-27. Sand Creek had been fouling Madison, and they'd been missing free throws.
Right.
They just could not put it away.
The play was working.
Yep. You see that in the NBA where they do the fouls, and then you try to shoot a 3 and try to play that game, and they make like 70%. This was, I didn't keep stats, but it was like 40% they were making.
Wow.
And keeping Sand Creek in it, they hit a huge 3-pointer to bring it within a point, 31-30. They foul Madison again. They go down, make 1 of 2. So Sand Creek gets the rebound. They go down, shoot a 3. Time expired. Hit the front of the iron, and came back.
Ooh.
Fell just short for Sand Creek. So they could not come back. Madison holds on. Big game from Carly Anschutz. She had 14 points for the Madison Trojans, and it'll be Anschutz and Salenbein in all likelihood. They're the two tallest players on the court. I think the two best for either team on the court, and I'm really happy we're picking up this game that we're sending John to Sand Creek to call it, because
It's a good one.
Madison will give Lenawee Christian a run for their money. You know, it's not going to be a cakewalk
Yeah.
by any stretch.
Well, I think a lot of, coming into the season, I think we already knew Bree was Bree and how good she was.
Yes.
But it was going to be, basketball's that team sport, and you got to have a full, she can't be in 5 places at once. So, okay, well, we're probably not going to be able to run much through her, going past her, whoever Bree's covering. You're probably kind of just a decoy at that point. But the rest of the team, that's where they're kind of finding, they have shown that they are beatable, and teams have beat them throughout the season. So you can't just say, oh, well, they have a D1 player, future D1 player, so that must mean they're going to win. No, that's not it. That's not the case. I'm excited to hear it. I can't even imagine, the feeling of Madison, going against and kind of coming off that nail biter to now have a shot at a district championship.
And that game will be 7 o'clock tonight here on 96.5 The Cave, 965thecave.com. We're sending John Kane on a plane all the way down to Sand Creek, getting him a hotel so we can be all rested up and ready for the game. It's a 13-minute drive. How long do you think a plane ride would take?
I mean, way
30
longer.
seconds? Well, to get loaded up.
If we were just saying time to go up and down, probably
wouldn't
wouldn't
really
even
go up.
Yeah, it'd be a kite.
Over. Yeah. We're going to put John on the top of our radio tower with a parachute, and he's just going to float down to
Yeah, he's
St.
gonna
Creek.
parasail over there.
Yeah. The other district championship game for the girls, Tecumseh, with a big come-from-behind win over Onstead on Wednesday. They will play Chelsea, a team they've played before. Chelsea with a slightly better record, but Tecumseh coming off of that, I mean, they were down double-digit points, and they outscored Onstead, I believe it was 27-5 in the fourth quarter
Come back, yeah.
to get the win.
I heard, Christy talked about that game, and it was definitely to come back anytime from any deficit is a good feeling, but when you outscore that much in the last portion of the game, man, that's excitement to a whole new level. So, congratulations to them on getting this far, but the job's not done. Tecumseh taking on Chelsea, which should be a great game, a little SEC matchup. And I think Tecumseh, even with the limited team of 6 players, they don't look at that as, oh, we're definitely, going to lose. We're not as good as these other teams. Like, no, they've had good wins, and they've stepped up when they needed to and produce as well as anyone could ask them to. So it should be a great game out of Tecumseh and Chelsea tonight.
Second time they've played the Bulldogs. First time was back in February the 25th. Tecumseh lost that one 50-29. That was at Chelsea. So looking to avenge that loss.
Right.
And, looking at the records for Onstead and Tecumseh, that's I think that'd be considered an upset, a slight upset. So Tecumseh's flying high, got the win on their home floor. They're moving on, and they're going to play Chelsea tonight at 7. We'll be tracking that one closely on our social media. So good luck to Tecumseh tonight. Good luck to Lenawee Christian and Madison. I feel like the team that comes out of that LCS Madison is a team to be reckoned with in the future.
They're going to go
in
far.
that regional. So good luck to all 3 of the girls teams that are still alive for a district title. Those games are played tonight. They'll both be at 7. You can hear the Madison Lenawee Christian game on the Cave Pre-game around 6:45 with our own John Kane. We're going to switch things up. College football. Siena Heights. 2-2. They're going to play Marion, Indiana. Nationally ranked team in Marion, Indiana. Siena Heights 0-1 against ranked opponents. That was Concordia, Michigan, and they went and beat Marion earlier this year.
Really?
Yeah. So Saints, they've won 2 straight over young programs,
right?
Inexperienced programs, but I mean they needed them.
No,
they needed to straighten things out.
Yeah.
And it looks like they have in some respects.
Yeah, I would say that, you don't go out and plan for 65 points a week. So it's unrealistic to say, okay, we're going to win, put up that many points against Marion this week. But hopefully they found some of those tools that they needed on offense to not be stagnant like they were in that first game of the year against Concordia. That 10-7, I mean, it was a 10-7 at half, 10-7 final. It was just a defensive struggle for both teams. It wasn't. The defense came to play on both teams. So hopefully the defense, Cole Merlin leading that defense for the Saints, hopefully they come out and continue playing as well as football as they have all season. Hopefully the offense finds that momentum and gets things rolling early. And if they can't, it's going to be a long day for the Saints.
And I mentioned a ranked opponent, Marion, Indiana. They're 3-1. They're lost to Concordia, Michigan. They're number 9 in the country. They were as high as number 2, so they've slipped a little bit. Concordia is up to number 6 in the NAIA. They're 4-0. And you look down the conference, you have St. Francis, Indiana. They're 2-1. They're at number 12 in the country. Siena Heights dropping out of the rankings, but they are receiving votes. And this one would be huge. And like we've been alluding to, and we'll talk to Coach Cohn here in a few minutes, but the difference is the offense. I think the defense can hang with anyone in the league, in the country. But if they can translate that offense from last weekend somewhat into this game, they have a real good chance of winning. That's just a real quick look at Siena Heights. I know we're going to talk to Coach Cohn here in a few minutes. On the other side, Adrian College, border brawl with Trine. They've played the Thunder in the fall exhibition and lost. I believe it was 44-27 at home. They're going to go to Angola, try to get things done. Trine lost to your Albion Britons last weekend, so they're motivated.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, anytime you take a loss, that fuels you for that whole week of practice and that next game. You want to come out and show that, hey, that loss doesn't define us, and you want to win. Whereas now the Bulldogs, okay, you have your first win of the season. Can you continue rolling? And I hope they're reminded of that loss in the fall, because it was a big loss.
It was tough.
And so hopefully that usually football players have pretty good memory of the last time they see someone. They don't forget a loss very quickly. So even with the win last week, I don't think that they're going to be like, okay, well, that's one win's good enough for us. So looking to see them come out and really kind of step up and face the Thunder head on. I don't think it's going to be an easy game for either team. But it would of course be nice to see the Bulldogs come away with that win.
A game for some hardware. The Border Brawl Trophy between the Bulldogs and the Thunder. Kickoff at 1 o'clock. That game will be on 103.9 WLEN. Siena Heights will be here on the Cave at 2 o'clock for that contest. We're going to take a break. We are going to talk to Siena Heights head football coach Matt Cohn as they get set for their matchup against a top 10 team in the country. We'll talk about that matchup and their season so far. So don't go anywhere. Ian Wendt, Chuck Moran with you inside the Cave. With that, we welcome you inside the cave. It's 8:26 on a Friday morning. TGIF. Thank goodness it's Friday. Ian Wendt, Chuck Moran with you in studio, and we're joined on the phone by the one, the only, Matt Cohn, coach of the Siena Heights Saints football program. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, Ian. Thanks for having me on this morning.
Hey, a whole bunch of fun. We love talking football in the fall, and we're just extending it to the spring, so we'll just have football 24/7. How's that sound?
Hey, it's good by me. So you know that.
That's right. So, just diving right into the season, you start off with a rival in Concordia, Michigan, and you play them tough, especially the first game. You put a freshman quarterback out there, don't get the result you want. Then you go down to Indiana Wesleyan and take a tough loss, but all things considered, you bounce back, and you beat a couple teams that on paper you should beat. What did you learn between those two losses and the two wins?
Well, one thing I've been very pleased to see is just our improvement across the board. Playing in the spring and all the things that our players have had to face. All the challenges from practice time to weather to the COVID testing. We're just taking it one day at a time and working to get better every day and every opportunity that we have to practice. And we're seeing that. We're seeing that on tape, week to week, us improving at minimizing missed assignments, improving in our technique. And at the end of the day, that's what this whole spring season is about. That's what we traditionally would like to get out of spring football. We just now have an opportunity to play some other opponents in spring football, which is great. Don't have to hit ourselves all the time. We get to hit other people. So it's been great to see that improvement across the board.
And speaking of that improvement, and I've heard you in your interviews with Doug and with Steve, your offensive line, they have a bunch of young guys and some other young pieces on offense. Could you talk about their, sort of thrown into the fire and here you go?
Sure, absolutely. That first game we put 6 young men on the field on offense that were playing in their first ever college football game. So we knew that there were going to be some things that weren't as crisp, as they probably should have been when you're playing with younger guys and this is their first opportunity. But you get better at football by playing more football. And you can only stimulate the top speed so much in practice when, there are other concerns about keeping people healthy. You never want to see anyone get injured at practice. So we try to be smart in how we practice, especially early on. So it was tough to stimulate that speed. So those young guys, those 6 guys, really got to see that speed for the first time back on February 27th. And you saw a lot of mistakes on tape after that game, but they rolled up their sleeves. They took ownership of what was on the tape, and they continued to work to get better and better and better. And you mentioned, although that we maybe played some inferior opponents later on, the film was a lot cleaner. There were minimized missed assignments, and that really shows the improvement that I was previously talking about.
We'll switch the attention to the quarterback spot, and you started Justin McCown in the first game, and correct me if I'm wrong, but he did get injured, correct, later on, unfortunately?
He did. The last series of the game when we had the ball and we were throwing it, downfield to try and come back and score, he took a shot to his knee and suffered a knee injury, so he was out for the season. And then, our veteran signal caller, Tyler Nett, stepped right back in. It was a little bit of a challenging off season for Tyler. He wasn't with us in the fall. He took that semester off. It just fit. It fit with what he had going on academically to do that. So he came back second semester. But then, due to some quarantine things and some isolation things, Tyler wasn't with us early on to our quote-unquote spring preseason. So he wasn't able to join us and start practicing full go until that week leading up to the Concordia game. So Justin was far more ready to play in that game, which is why we went with Justin. But Tyler is a quick study. He's played a lot of football for us and was able to get himself prepared then for the second game in Indiana Wesleyan.
And just looking at the stats for Knecht, he's played in 4 games. He's completing 73% of his throws, averaging almost 10 yards per attempt. He's got 6 touchdowns and 1 pick. You got to be happy with that as a coach.
Oh, absolutely. And we've done some things, to simplify game plans just because we have young guys at receiver, young guys in the offensive line. Really try to simplify some of the things we're doing. Tyler has had a lot of input in the game plan as well, things that he feels comfortable with, things that he feels he can do very well. And bringing him into those meetings and making him a part of building the game plan, I think has certainly paid off the past couple games.
And Coach Chuck Moran here, just curious, you mentioned improvement throughout the season. That's been a big test in showing in the film. Think you guys are at a point of improvement to really give Marion a run for this upcoming game?
We take care of business. We do the things that we need to do. The scoreboard will just take care of itself. And looking back on it, it's all hindsight, but we feel that if we were playing right now after having the opportunity to play 4 or 5 games and give our young guys those experience, we really feel that had we playing at this level in week 1 or week 2, that scoreboard might be a little different. So we certainly feel we're prepared to go on and play anybody at this point, whether it be your Marions or Concordias, Indiana Wesleyans. We like the direction that we're going with our improvement, Chuck.
Siena Heights Saints football coach Matt Cohn joining us inside the cave. I want to turn the attention to the side of the ball that should get a lot more coverage, and I think they are in your defense. I mean, I said it before the break that they can play with anyone in the country, and they're going to get tested. But you want to look at a tackling machine. You look that up in the dictionary, and there's a picture of Mr. Cole Merlin. He's averaging 14 a game, Coach.
I mean, at our level, obviously we have the opportunity to see a lot of tape on a lot of different teams across the country, and at our level, I don't know if anyone does it as good as Cole. He's just a phenomenal player, very smart player, and it doesn't happen by accident for Cole. I mean, this kid prepares his tail off. He knows what's coming before it's coming. Our defensive staff does an outstanding job preparing our kids for the game. And as you mentioned, we're ranked up there with the country's best. I think right now we're giving up 8.5 points a game, so we're right up there in the national leaders. And just can't say enough about our defensive staff and the personnel we have on defense.
It's just absolutely ridiculous. You think, there's going to be a drop-off at some point. I mean, you said 8 points a game. That's like you score a touchdown and a field goal and you win the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Simple math, but that's the reality.
If only it were that easy, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, certainly they're playing great football right now.
I'm gonna switch back to the offensive side, since it's the more flashy subject. Jared Jordan, one of your returning running backs, he's had a good campaign, and listening to the games with Renwick and Goodnow, he was the guy that your offense could turn to when maybe the pass game wasn't working. What have you seen out of Jordan?
Well, Jordan is our most experienced player. Him and Tyler, they've been here for a long time, been a part of a lot of good teams, and he's just kind of our staple back there. He's a guy that can be trusted with the ball at all times. He has great hands. We throw him the ball quite a bit out of the backfield, and it's someone that I think the defense always has to know where number 3 is at all times, because we're looking for ways to get him the ball.
What about your wide receiver position? Sort of Eric Williams, the second, sort of coming on as of late. He's by far your leader in terms of yards per game, 4 touchdowns on the year. Could you tell me a little bit about his story and how he got to this point?
Sure, absolutely. We recruited Eric out of high school. He's from the South Bend area, and he actually signed with Grand Valley State out of high school. Things, didn't go as planned for him at GV, so he gave us a call back, and we were thrilled to have him. After he spent a year up there. So he's a young football player, just a redshirt freshman, redshirted that year at Grand Valley, and he was a young man that certainly benefited from having the fall practices, so he could kind of get up to speed with terminology and what we're doing on offense, running and passing. And we knew he was going to be a special athlete. When we got him on campus and saw the things he could do, saw what he could do when we got the ball in his hand, and it's we're very fortunate. That young man is just a redshirt freshman, so he has a lot of football ahead of him here at Siena Heights, and has really turned into a go-to target for us here this year.
Yeah, that's great to get some really good offensive talent to match up with the defense. And I'm sure when you go to recruit kids and say, look, we give up 8 points a game. Can you help us get 9? I'm sure that's a draw.
Right.
I'm sure that's a draw. So you're playing Marion this weekend. They were number 2 in the country. They take a loss to Concordia. So, Concordia's for real. But you look up and down this conference, you have St. Francis right in there. And, Coach, you're still getting votes in the poll. Just the continued level of success in your league within the NAIA. Can you talk about that for a little bit?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's 4 teams on our side of the league that, you could almost flip a coin for every game. You look at that, you mentioned the Marion-Concordia game. That was a 16-14 game. Marion's last 3 possessions in that game were all inside the Concordia 15-yard line. Ian, they missed 3 field goals in their last 3 possessions and lose by 2 points.
Man.
So, it's I don't know if Concordia is for real or if Marion just needs a new kicker.
Hey, well, we hope he sticks around for your game, right?
Yeah, no kidding,
Mm-hmm.
no kidding. So, a lot of those games are like that. When you look at these 4 teams in our league, they're all decided by a possession or the last possession of the game. So, it's extremely competitive. It's a very fun league to play in because there's not a lot of cakewalks in our league. As players and coaches, it's fun to prepare for these big games week in and week out.
And Coach, final question from me. Just curious what you think this rest of the season you'll be able to take away most of, and how do you take this into momentum for the fall? I think we're all planning to have a normal fall season, get back to normal fall ball. How are you going to use this going forward? Obviously, you're going game to game, but this season it's going to have an impact on how you move forward as an entire program. So, what do you think that'll be?
Certainly, we want to improve. That was the one thing we set out to do this spring. Certainly, we're all very competitive. We wouldn't be involved in college athletics if we weren't. We want to go out there and compete every game and want to win every game. But more importantly, more than just winning and losing, we know we need to improve because we know our sights are on when we do have a full season and get to play to make the playoffs and the national championship and all that good stuff. So we want to continue to improve and set some benchmarks here and look back at this film here at the end of this spring season and say, hey, these are the things we did well, these are the things we improved on, and in order to get where we need to be, this is what our focus needs to be this fall. And I think we're certainly well on our way to doing that.
Nice.
Lofty goals for Siena Heights University football. Keep up the good work, Coach Matt Cohn. Thanks for taking the time this morning.
Hey, thanks for the time, guys. Have a great weekend.
I
You
will
too.
do. You too.
Good luck.
Yeah, bring home a W.
Thank you.
All right. And that is Siena Heights Saints football coach Matt Cohn. Always fun to talk to. Loves talking about the program, and we love talking about it as well. 2 o'clock kickoff time for Siena Heights and Marion, Indiana. Chris Renwick, Doug Goodnow on the call. 2 o'clock, tune in, 1:45 pregame here on 96.5 The Cave and 965thecave.com. We're going to pick our Sweet 16 games. That's right, it's still March, it's still madness. Ian Wentz, Chuck Moran, Inside the Cave. Time flies when you're having fun. 8:45 here inside the cave. Ian Wendt, Chuck Moran with you, and it's great to talk to our local coaches, high school, college. Just heard from Matt Cohn for the Siena Heights Saints football program. Their game will be aired on the cave Saturday, tomorrow, starting at 1:45 of the pregame show. Chris Renwick, Doug Goodnow on the call. But for now, let's pick our Sweet 16 predictions. I'll go back to it. If you're part of our bracket challenge on 965thecave.com, you can reset your bracket. You can repick the Sweet 16. So if you think, hey, Cuse is going all the way, or the Sister Jeans will win the national championship, you can make that pick over on 965thecave.com under contest. But for right now, we're going to go through these matchups. We'll just give winner and maybe a little bit reason why. We'll start with Gonzaga and Creighton. I will tell you Gonzaga because right now they're the best team left in this tournament.
I agree. Plain and simple, they're living up to being the number one.
USC and Oregon, Pac-12 action. Who thought they would be here at this point? Not I. USC or Oregon, gosh. I mean, flip a coin.
Yeah.
Do you like Trojans or Ducks? It was raining this morning, so I'll pick Oregon.
I'm going to go with Oregon, too. They're a team that's been in this position in March in the past few years. They're kind of used to playing their best basketball in this time of the year, which is, what every team hopes to do. So USC, I think, might be a little bit of a fluke that they're this far, and they're a good team, but I don't think they're Elite Eight good.
We'll go to UCLA. They've won 2 straight, plus the play-in game. They will take on Alabama, who is now good at basketball, so look out, everyone.
Yeah.
The 2 seed versus the 11. Who's going to get the win?
I'm putting Alabama over UCLA. I think UCLA has played 3 games already. They had that play-in against Michigan State. We all know how that one went since they're still alive and Michigan State is not.
Yes, yep, we know.
And
moving on.
11 seed Alabama. I don't like that Alabama's good at basketball now. It's unfair.
Yeah.
How can a school
be not good at something?
Yeah. And I'm a swimmer, and of course I've been paying attention to swimming too. They're also very good at that sport too. Unfortunate, good for them. Alabama, I think, taking over UCLA.
Yeah, tied or rolling. Baylor, Villanova. Who thought Villanova would get this far? Not many people, but I think it ends here, and I think the Bears take that contest.
I agree. I think, unfortunately, I'm not on many opposing sides on this one with you, but Baylor does look, they look like the second best team in the tournament behind Gonzaga. The number ones, other than Illinois, kind of living up to that title.
Illinois. All right, the Fighting Pigs of Arkansas taking on Oral Roberts, the 3 seed, and the 15. Does Cinderella keep dancing?
You think the 15 win?
No.
Okay.
No. Absolutely not.
I was taking Arkansas. Yep.
Yeah, I'm not going out on that much of a limb here.
I mean, it's impressive that they're only, I think, the second 15 seed to get this far. And so it is very impressive for them. Quite the run. But Arkansas, I mean, they do look like they have the potential that Baylor, if both teams win, Baylor Arkansas would be a great Elite Eight matchup. So, something to keep your eyes out for.
The next game up, the Fighting Sister Jeans of Loyola Chicago going up against the Beavers of Oregon State, who upset Oklahoma State to reach this point. So 2 really low seeds coming off of big upsets. One of them will go to the Elite Eight.
Yeah, I mean, at the lowest, we're going to have an 8 seed in the Elite Eight, so which is exciting. That's what March is all about, the madness, and Oregon State defeating Big 12 tournament winners, Oklahoma State. I think it's going to be Loyola. I think Sister Jean has been using her powers and somehow getting them through each round. They look great against Illinois. They made Illinois not look good at all. I think Illinois hurt themselves. I don't think Illinois played up to their potential, but Loyola seized the opportunity, and I would see them moving on over the Beavers. What do you think?
Man, I mean, you talk about two teams winning improbable games.
Yeah, I mean, the momentum they've had coming into these games, it's a lot. When you start winning upset games, oh man, you have more confidence, and now you're putting those two teams against each other.
I mean, I watched the second half of the Loyola Illinois game,
Okay.
and I watched the first half,
Oh,
most of the first half of Oregon State, Oklahoma State. And Oregon State's best player got in foul trouble early, and they just kept expanding the lead.
Yeah.
I thought, what's going on here? I think that's slightly more impressive. I think Illinois and all these Big Ten teams, except Michigan, burned out.
Yeah, it was they were just beating each other up all season.
I
And
think they're
it's a
burned
tough,
out.
Tough
and
year.
Loyola Chicago doing their thing. I will actually be contrarian here.
Okay.
I think we will have a 12 seed in the Elite Eight, and it will be Oregon State.
Wow.
The champs of the conference tournament, right? That's the only reason they're here,
Yeah.
is they won the Pac-12 tournament
Yeah.
to get to this point. So either way, like you said, an 8 seed or lower in terms of big number.
Yeah,
will be in the Elite
we're gonna
Eight.
have at least one of them, and we're gonna have a 6 or a 7 at least on the other side too, with USC and Oregon. So
Now we have the Boeheim Syracuse Orange, an 11 seed, taking on number 2 Houston. Great offense versus an annoying defense.
yeah, that is the best way to describe this game. I think Houston's still. I don't know if they're living up to being a 2 seed, but at the same time, they are one of the only 2 seeds remaining. Shout out to Purdue, or Iowa, and who was the other one? I don't even remember. There's only 2 seeds.
Ohio State.
Ohio State. That's how could I forget Oral Roberts? But yes, Houston not playing really up to that potential, but I think they still have a better edge over Syracuse in this one.
I think this might be the biggest blowout of the Sweet 16. Because, no, I'll give you a real basketball reason why.
Okay.
Syracuse plays a 2-3 zone.
Right.
It's tough to rebound
It is.
on defense. You got to find a guy to match up with. And what does Houston do? They get offensive rebounds. I think this could get ugly for Syracuse. I think Houston rolls by Syracuse.
I have Houston getting all the way to the Final Four. I have them coming out of this region as the champs.
I had Illinois, but we're not going to talk about
Ah.
that. Save the best for last. You're all thinking, what? You're not going to talk about Michigan and Florida State? That's the final Sweet 16 game that we're going to pick here on Inside the Cave. 1 seed Michigan, 4 seed Florida State. Who's going to go to the Elite Eight? I think it's Florida State. I think at this point, Michigan's missing
Right.
Livers. And if he's as big of a part of this team as everyone says, they're not winning this game.
Well,
They're not going to get 21 points out of Shaundi Brown.
right.
They just don't have enough firepower, and Florida State has just enough.
I get where you're coming from, but I will disagree with you. And maybe I'm just playing into the narrative of everyone wanted to see Michigan versus Alabama in the college football playoffs. Well, we haven't got that, so we're gonna get Michigan, Alabama in the Elite Eight.
Who's everyone?
Everyone's
What do you
been
mean
talking
everyone?
about this.
No one wanted to see that.
Everybody
Michigan,
wants to see.
Alabama.
Everybody wants to see Harbaugh and Saban go at it.
No, they don't.
Everybody wants to see it. I think.
I don't know who this everyone person is, but they're crazy.
Oh, okay.
You got Michigan.
Listen, I
over
think
Florida
Michigan
State.
over Florida
Okay.
State. I think Florida State has some good talent, but Michigan has a lot to prove, and they're staying. I think Juwan keeps this team more focused than anyone really fully understands. They're coming in ready to play every game. So I'm taking Michigan to the Elite Eight.
That's our picks for the Sweet 16. A couple of contrarian picks. The Florida State-Michigan game and the Oregon State-Loyola are two opposites. I picked both upsets. Chuck
I'm
went
sticking with the favorites.
The favorites.
I think all
Boring
around.
old Chuck picking the favorites.
I did pick Oregon, so we did agree in one lower seed beating an upper seed.
Sure. Yes.
But yeah, for the most part.
Well, that's it for the show. We made it. 9 o'clock coming up with the last
did it.
hour of the DA show. We're done for the week.
Happy Friday.
Yeah, Inside the Cave. Be sure to tune in tonight. Girls basketball, Lenawee Christian and Madison. John Kane on the call. 6:45 pregame show. Tip-off at 7 for a district title. Also, good luck to Tecumseh girls as they will battle Chelsea for their district championship. College football Saturday, 1 p.m. on WLEN, 2 o'clock here on the Cave for Siena Heights and Adrian College. That's Chuck Moran. I'm Ian Wendt. You've been Inside the Cave.